Imagine waking up every morning to a voice inside your head. This voice tells you what's possible, what's impossible, what you're good at, what you'll never achieve. The question is, who put that voice there? More importantly, is it telling you the truth? Every great leader, every innovator, every person who has ever changed the world has one thing in common. They believed something before anyone else did. They saw a version of reality that didn't yet exist and decided to pursue it anyway. Why? Because what we think, we become. Now, this isn't just some motivational cliche. This is science. Our thoughts shape our decisions shape our actions, and our actions, they shape our lives. Think about it. If you believe you're not smart enough, not talented enough, not capable enough, you will make choices that reinforce that belief. You won't raise your hand in the meeting. You won't apply for that promotion. You won't start that business, not because you weren't capable, but because you thought you weren't. But what happens when we flip that? What happens when we choose to believe in a different story? Look at the most successful people in any field. They weren't handed a special roadmap. They weren't given a guarantee, but they had one thing, a mindset that told them they could. They decided that failure was feedback, not final. They decided that setbacks were lessons, not labels. They decided that success starts in here, points to head, long before it happens out there, points outward. There's an old saying, the body achieves what the mind believes. If you run a marathon with the thought, I can't do this, your body will prove you right. But if you run it with the thought, I have prepared for this, I am strong, I will finish, your body will rise to the challenge. So what does this mean for us? It means we have a choice. We can feed our minds doubt, insecurity, and fear, or we can feed it belief, possibility, and courage. We can tell ourselves we're not enough, or we can tell ourselves we are just getting started. Our thoughts are the foundation of everything we do, everything we say, and ultimately everything we become. They are not just fleeting ideas or random musings. They are the architects of our reality. Every action we take, every decision we make originates from a single thought. And yet, most of us don't pay attention to them. We assume that thoughts are just there, running in the background, without realizing that they are shaping the direction of our lives. Think about a time when you doubted yourself. Maybe you told yourself you weren't good enough for a certain job, not talented enough to pursue a passion, or not strong enough to overcome a challenge. The moment that thought took root, it started influencing your behavior. Maybe you hesitated. Maybe you didn't even try. Not because you weren't capable, but because your mind convinced you that you weren't. On the other hand, when you've been confident, when you've truly believed in yourself, you've probably noticed that you acted differently. You stood taller. You spoke with conviction. You pushed forward even when the odds weren't in your favor. That wasn't luck. That was the power of your thoughts in action. The human brain is wired to reinforce the beliefs we hold. If we constantly tell ourselves that we are not enough, our brain will look for evidence to support that claim. If we tell ourselves that we are capable, our brain will do the same. It's not magic, it's neuroscience. Our minds filter the world through the lens of what we believe to be true. This is why two people can experience the exact same situation but interpret it in completely different ways. One sees an obstacle, the other sees an opportunity. One sees failure, the other sees a lesson. The situation is the same, but the mindset changes the outcome. The real question is, if our thoughts hold so much power, why don't we take control of them? Why do we let our minds run on autopilot, filled with doubt, fear, and negativity? The truth is, we've been conditioned this way. Society, past experiences, and even the people around us contribute to the stories we tell ourselves. But just as our minds learn to limit us, they can also learn to empower us. It starts with awareness. It starts with catching those negative thoughts before they take root and challenging them. It starts with choosing to believe something different, something better. Because in the end, we are not just the sum of our experiences, we are the sum of our thoughts about those experiences. What we think, we become. What we expect tends to become our reality, not because of some mystical force, but because of the way our beliefs influence our actions. The self-fulfilling prophecy is a powerful phenomenon. What we tell ourselves, what we anticipate, often dictates how we behave, which in turn shapes the outcomes we experience. It's a cycle, one that can either propel us forward or hold us back. When someone believes they are incapable of success, they unconsciously act in ways that reinforce that belief. They might hesitate to take risks, put in less effort, or avoid opportunities altogether, not because they aren't capable, but because their mindset has already predetermined failure. And then, when failure inevitably follows, it seems to validate their original belief. See, I knew I couldn't do it, but the truth is, it wasn't a lack of ability that caused the failure. It was the belief itself that set the stage for it. The opposite is also true. When we believe we are capable, competent, and deserving of success, our actions align with that belief. We take more initiative, we push through challenges, and we persist when things get difficult. And because of this, we create better results. Success in many ways is not just about skill or intelligence. It's about expectation. People who expect to succeed are more likely to recognize opportunities, more likely to put in effort, and more likely to bounce back from failure because they see setbacks as temporary, not permanent. This cycle plays out in every aspect of life. A student who believes they are bad at math will approach every test with anxiety and self-doubt, leading to poor performance, which then reinforces their belief. A leader who expects their team to be incompetent will micromanage, stifle creativity, and ultimately create the very inefficiency they feared. A person who assumes they are unworthy of love may push people away, unknowingly proving themselves right. The common thread, the belief comes first, the behavior follows, and then reality conforms to match the belief. The challenge then is recognizing the self-fulfilling prophecies in our own lives. What assumptions do we hold about ourselves, about others, about the world? Are they serving us or are they limiting us? The moment we shift our beliefs, we begin to shift our actions. And when we shift our actions, the results start to change. The world doesn't just happen to us. We are shaping it every day, often without even realizing it. The key is to be intentional about what we expect, because more often than not, what we expect is exactly what we get. The human brain is constantly at work, filtering information, making connections, and shaping our reality based on what we focus on the most. It acts like a magnet, attracting the thoughts, beliefs, and experiences that align with our dominant mindset. This is not about wishful thinking or simply hoping for good things to happen. It's about the way our attention directs our actions and how our subconscious mind seeks confirmation of the things we believe to be true. If someone constantly focuses on their problems, their mind will naturally filter the world in a way that emphasizes obstacles, challenges, and setbacks. They will notice every inconvenience, interpret neutral situations as negative, and unknowingly make decisions that reinforce their struggles. It's not that the world is working against them, it's that their mind is tuned in to negativity. And so, on the other hand, when someone focuses on opportunities, growth, and solutions, their brain starts to filter the world differently. They begin to see possibilities where others see dead ends. They recognize chances to improve and take action instead of feeling stuck. This is why two people can experience the same situation and walk away with completely different conclusions. Imagine two people going through a difficult time at work. One person tells themselves, "This is just more proof that I'm not good enough," and as a result, they disengage, lose motivation, and perform poorly. The other person tells themselves, "This is a challenge, but it's an opportunity to grow," and they start looking for ways to adapt, improve, and turn the situation around. The circumstances were the same, but their minds attracted different outcomes. The brain is also highly suggestible. It takes cues from the thoughts we repeat most often. If someone constantly tells themselves they are unlucky, unworthy, or incapable, their brain will gather evidence to support those beliefs, reinforcing them until they feel like absolute truths. But the same principle works in the opposite direction. When we intentionally shift our focus to confidence, capability, and resilience, our brain starts seeking proof of those qualities within us. We begin to act in ways that align with this new mindset, attracting experiences and results that validate our growth. This doesn't mean challenges and hardships won't exist, they always will. But when our minds are conditioned to look for opportunities, solutions, and strengths, we begin to attract them into our lives. Not through magic, but through the simple fact that we start seeing what was there all along. The more we direct our thoughts toward what we want to create, the more we align our actions with that vision, and the more our reality starts to shift in that direction. Failure is one of the most misunderstood experiences in life. Most people see it as a dead end, a sign that they aren't good enough, smart enough, or capable enough. But failure itself isn't the problem, it's the way we define it. The truth is, failure is nothing more than information. It's feedback. It's a response from the world that tells us something about our approach, our effort, or our strategy. And if we learn to reframe failure, we can use it as a tool for growth rather than a reason to stop. Think about how children learn to walk. They don't take a few steps, fall down, and decide that walking just isn't for them. They get back up, adjust their balance, and try again, and again, and again. Not once do they think of falling as failure. It's just part of the process. But as we grow older, something changes. We start attaching meaning to failure. We tell ourselves that failing means we aren't good enough, or that we should stop trying. We start protecting ourselves from failure instead of learning from it. But the people who succeed at the highest level, whether in business, sports, innovation, or personal growth, see failure differently. They expect it. They welcome it. They use it to refine their skills and strategies. When an entrepreneur launches a product that flops, they don't shut down their business. They analyze what went wrong and adjust. When an athlete loses a game, they don't quit their sport. They study their mistakes and improve. When a scientist runs an experiment that doesn't work, they don't abandon their research. They take what they learned and try again. In each case, failure isn't the opposite of success. It's a necessary part of it. The key is to change the questions we ask ourselves when we fail. Instead of asking, "What's wrong with me?" or "Why can't I do this?" we should be asking, "What can I learn from this?" or "What needs to change next time?" Shifting the focus from personal inadequacy to problem solving allows us to move forward instead of getting stuck. Failure doesn't define us, how we respond to it does. The reality is, avoiding failure means avoiding growth. If we never fail, it means we're not pushing ourselves beyond what's comfortable. And if we're not pushing ourselves, we're not evolving. So instead of fearing failure, we should embrace it, not as a setback, but as a stepping stone. Not as a judgment, but as a lesson, because every failure carries with it the seeds of success if we're willing to look for them. Every person walks through life carrying a story about who they are, what they're capable of, and what kind of future awaits them. These stories aren't necessarily true, but they feel true because we've repeated them so many times that they become our reality. The most powerful thing about these stories is that they shape the way we act, the way we react, and ultimately the way our lives unfold. Some people tell themselves a story of limitation. "I'm not good at this, I always mess up, success is for other people, not for me." And because they believe this, they behave in ways that reinforce it. They hesitate to take risks, they second guess themselves, and they give up too soon, all without realizing that they are simply living out the script they wrote for themselves long ago. On the other hand, some people tell themselves a story of growth. "I can figure this out. I may not know how yet, but I'll learn. Every challenge makes me stronger." And because they believe this, they act with confidence, they persist through difficulties, and they create opportunities where others see obstacles. The difference between these two people isn't talent, intelligence, or luck. It's the story they've chosen to believe. These stories don't appear out of nowhere. They're shaped by our past experiences, our upbringing, and the words of the people around us. If a child grows up hearing that they are smart, resourceful, and capable, they are more likely to carry that belief into adulthood. If they grow up hearing that they are difficult, lazy, or not enough, they may spend years battling that narrative, even if it was never true. But the good news is, no matter where these stories come from, we have the power to rewrite them. Rewriting our stories starts with awareness. What do we tell ourselves when we fail, when we face uncertainty, when we think about our future? Are we narrating a story of possibility or a story of limitation? Once we recognize the patterns, we can challenge them. A single setback doesn't mean we are failures. A moment of doubt doesn't mean the whole book is ruined. When we shift the way we talk to ourselves, we change the way we experience the world. The stories we tell ourselves are not just reflections of who we are, they are blueprints for who we become. If we tell ourselves a story of doubt, we will live in hesitation. If we tell ourselves a story of strength, we will rise to the occasion. The choice isn't whether we have a story, because we all do. The choice is whether we write a story that limits us or one that empowers us. The way we think about our abilities, whether we see them as fixed or as something that can grow, determines almost everything about the way we approach life. Some people believe that intelligence, talent, and skills are set in stone. They assume that you're either good at something or you're not, and no amount of effort will change that. This belief leads to hesitation, fear of failure, and an avoidance of challenges. If something feels difficult, they take it as proof that they're not capable, rather than seeing it as part of the learning process. On the other hand, there are people who believe that abilities are not fixed, but can be developed. They see effort as the path to mastery, challenges as opportunities to grow, and setbacks as lessons rather than judgments. When something feels difficult, they don't interpret it as a sign that they're not good enough. They see it as a sign that they're stretching, improving, and getting better. This belief changes everything. It makes people more resilient, more adaptable, and ultimately more successful. The difference between these two ways of thinking shows up everywhere. A student who believes they are just bad at math will approach every problem with frustration and defeat, avoiding challenges because they assume they'll fail anyway. But a student who believes they can improve with effort will push through struggles, ask questions, and eventually get better. An employee who believes they're not a leader will shy away from responsibility, never giving themselves the chance to grow into the role. But an employee who believes leadership is a skill they can develop will seek opportunities, take risks, and eventually become the leader they once doubted they could be. The truth is, most of what we admire in others, their intelligence, their skills, their success, was not something they were born with. It was something they built. And the only way they built it was by embracing growth. Every expert was once a beginner. Every master was once an amateur. The only difference is that they didn't stop when things got hard. They didn't let failure define them. They understood that their abilities were not set in stone. And because of that belief, they kept improving until their potential became their reality. The most important part of a growth mindset is understanding that we are never finished. There is no final version of who we are. We are constantly evolving, constantly learning, constantly capable of more than we think. And the moment we decide to believe that, everything in our lives begins to change. The words we use, both the ones we speak to others and the ones we tell ourselves, carry incredible power. They shape our perceptions, influence our emotions, and define the way we experience the world. Words are not just sounds or symbols, they are the building blocks of our reality. They can either lift us up or tear us down, inspire action or create doubt, build confidence or plant fear. And most of the time, we don't even realize the impact they have. Think about the way we talk about challenges. When someone says this is too hard, they are reinforcing the idea that the task is beyond their ability. But when they say this is going to take some effort, they acknowledge the difficulty without shutting down the possibility of success. A simple shift in language changes the way the brain processes the situation. It moves from defeat to problem solving, from resistance to resilience. The same is true for the way we speak about ourselves. People constantly say things like, I'm not good at this, I'm just not a leader, I always mess things up. These are not just passing thoughts. They are self-fulfilling prophecies. The more we repeat them, the more we believe them, and the more our actions align with them. But when we change our words, we change our beliefs. Saying, I'm learning how to do this, I can develop leadership skills, I make mistakes, but I also improve, shifts the entire narrative. It opens the door for growth rather than reinforcing limitations. Words also have the power to shape our relationships. A single sentence can build trust or destroy it. Encouragement can spark motivation, while criticism can plant doubt that lingers for years. The way leaders speak to their teams, the way parents speak to their children, the way friends speak to each other, all of it matters. A person who is constantly told they are capable will start to believe it. A person who is repeatedly told they are not enough will struggle to see their worth, even when reality says otherwise. And then there's the way we talk about the world. If we describe it as unfair, unforgiving, and full of obstacles, we will see those things everywhere we look. If we describe it as full of opportunities, lessons, and possibilities, we will find those instead. The words we choose don't just describe our reality, they create it. Being mindful of the words we use is not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about recognizing that language is a tool, and how we wield it determines how we experience life. The words we speak become the thoughts we think, and the thoughts we think become the life we live. If we want to change our reality, we have to start by changing our words. The people we surround ourselves with, the places we spend our time, and the information we consume all play a powerful role in shaping who we become. Whether we realize it or not, our environment constantly influences our thoughts, beliefs, and behaviors. It can push us toward growth or hold us back in stagnation. It can fuel our confidence or deepen our doubts. The impact of our surroundings is so subtle that we often don't notice it happening, but over time, it shapes the course of our lives. When we spend time around people who challenge us to think bigger, encourage us to take risks, and believe in our potential, we naturally start to rise to that level. Their mindset, habits, and energy become contagious. We absorb their ambition, their resilience, their way of seeing the world. But when we are surrounded by negativity, doubt, and limitation, the opposite happens. We start to internalize fear. We shrink our dreams to match the expectations of those around us. Without even realizing it, we conform to the environment we are in, even if it doesn't serve us. The same is true for the content we consume. If we fill our minds with ideas that challenge us, stories that inspire us, and knowledge that expands our thinking, we grow in ways we never expected. But if we constantly expose ourselves to negativity, distractions, and influences that drain us, we lose focus, motivation, and direction. What we feed our minds is just as important as what we feed our bodies. It determines our mental state, our emotional health, and ultimately the way we show up in the world. Our environment isn't just about external factors, it's also about the choices we make within it. We can choose to engage with people who uplift us, seek out spaces that energize us, and consume content that fuels our growth. We can intentionally shape our surroundings in a way that supports the person we want to become. Because the truth is, no one rises above their environment for long. If we want to elevate our lives, we have to elevate what we allow to influence us. The people, places, and ideas we engage with every day are either shaping us into who we want to be or keeping us stuck where we are. The key is being conscious of the difference and making choices that align with the future we want to create. The circumstances we find ourselves in at any given moment do not define what is possible for us. What defines our future is the vision we hold for ourselves despite those circumstances. Too often, people let their current reality dictate their potential. They look at their financial struggles, their lack of experience, or the obstacles in their way and assume that those things set the limits of their success. But the people who achieve extraordinary things are the ones who refuse to let their present situation determine their future. They understand that circumstances are temporary, but vision is what lasts. Vision is what allows someone to keep moving forward when nothing around them suggests they should. It's what pushes an entrepreneur to keep building when their business hasn't taken off yet. It's what keeps an athlete training when they haven't won a championship. It's what keeps an artist creating when no one is paying attention to their work. Without vision, challenges feel like dead ends. With vision, challenges become part of the journey. Circumstances change, but only if we are willing to see beyond them. History is full of people who started with nothing, faced rejection, and encountered failure, but still succeeded because they held on to a vision that was stronger than their obstacles. They didn't wait for the perfect conditions. They didn't let setbacks convince them to stop. They moved forward, not because of where they were, but because of where they were going. What makes vision so powerful is that it changes the way we respond to our environment. Two people can be in the exact same situation, but the one with a vision will make different choices. They will see opportunities where others see roadblocks. They will persist when others give up. They will create momentum even when nothing is working in their favor. Vision allows people to act not based on where they are, but based on where they want to be. This isn't about ignoring reality, it's about refusing to be defined by it. Circumstances may be challenging, but they are not final. The real limitation is not what's happening around us, but what we believe is possible. When we choose vision over circumstance, we stop waiting for the right time, the right conditions, or the right opportunities. We start creating them. The world belongs to those who see beyond what is and focus on what could be. Thinking alone doesn't create change. Ideas, dreams, and intentions mean nothing without action. We often believe that we need to think our way into confidence, clarity, or motivation before we can take the next step. But the truth is, action is what transforms thought. It is movement, not just mindset, that shifts our reality. People wait for the perfect plan, the right moment, or a sign that they're ready. But readiness doesn't come from thinking, it comes from doing. The first step is always uncertain, always imperfect, but it is the only way forward. Action provides feedback, and feedback creates clarity. We don't gain confidence by overanalyzing. We gain confidence by showing up, trying, failing, adjusting, and trying again. And every big achievement starts with a small action. The writer who publishes a book didn't wait until they felt like an expert. They wrote a messy first draft. The entrepreneur who built a business didn't have all the answers. They started with what they had and figured it out along the way. The athlete who dominated their sport didn't wait to feel strong enough. They trained before they were ready. Action comes first, and transformation follows. Our thoughts may shape our beliefs, but our actions reinforce them. Someone who sees themselves as unworthy or incapable can change that belief, not by thinking differently, but by proving to themselves through action that they are capable. The moment we take a step outside our comfort zone, we start to rewrite the story we tell ourselves. Thought alone is passive, but action forces change. Momentum is built through movement. The more we act, the more we learn. The more we learn, the more we grow. And as we grow, our thinking naturally evolves. If we want to change our mindset, we must change our behavior first. It's not about waiting until we feel ready. It's about taking action and letting that action transform the way we see ourselves and the world around us. Everything we become starts with what we choose to believe, but belief alone is not enough. The stories we tell ourselves, the words we use, the environment we create, and the vision we hold, all of it shapes our reality, but nothing changes until we take action. Growth is not something we wait for, it is something we create. Confidence is not something we are given, it is something we build. Success is not determined by our circumstances, it is determined by our willingness to push beyond them. The difference between those who dream and those who achieve is simple: action. Those who act, despite fear, despite uncertainty, despite setbacks, are the ones who shape their own future. The world does not reward those who wait for the perfect moment. It rewards those who move forward even when the path is unclear. The power to change, to grow, to create something extraordinary is already within us. But it will only come to life when we decide to take that first step, because in the end, we do not become what we wish for. We become what we repeatedly do.